Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Gabriel Dejumo, and today we'll be discussing about evidences, discussing about the evidence gathering techniques, how you can get evidence, whether by interview or looking at processes, procedures. Well, as a as a CSO of McKinsey Corporation, which is a renowned American organization, we are involved in the distribution of pharmaceutical materials and supplies to different clients. So as a result of that, we need a change of people and also an interaction between internal and external people, and also exchange different materials and emails. So what do we do when things goes wrong or something gets wrong? What we have to do is to first look into all the evidences that we have, looking at the root cause analysis, so that we can prevent that, and we can prevent it from happening the next time. So, and that's one of the importance of gathering evidence is looking into the root cause. Like I said earlier, there are different ways of gathering evidences. And in this lecture, so to say, we are going to look at some of the evidences techniques. Now, the first one I'll discuss is the structured walkthrough. This is very common in the testing environment or software lifecycle development, which provides something like check mark or check box on things to do, or maybe walk through the environment to gather evidences. It provide availability. Um, provide avenue for comments and feedback from people. It's one of the ways you can, gather evidences and put information together. One of the things that it does is it streamline you to a particular area of focus. So you don't have to go to too many places to get it. So we have like a kind of a process that looks into some some check box or tick mark that you have to put together to get evidence that you need. And this is also very important because at times when you're really working really under a very tight schedule, you don't want to go to too many sources to get information. The structured walkthrough will help you streamline and focus on a particular area to get the evidence. Now, another technique is observing the processes and employee performance. And this is very critical. Processes. These are form of um, form of steps or activities that are performed by individual people to achieve a particular needs or carry out a particular objective or task, and that is processes. So it's important to look at the processes. At times when things are not going right, the right way, the most important thing is to look at the processes. What are the processes that are driving those activities? We can use that as an evidence. Gather at times it might lead to maybe process analysis, whereby we analyze the process and do like a kind of or initiate a re-engineering of the process, you know, to enhance the workflow, to make things work smoothly. The process is critical. It's important to gather all the evidence through processes, reviewing the process, analyzing the process is important, and also re-engineering the process. And once the process is re-engineered, then the cost for needs to retrain the staff. Now, another technique of gathering evidence is looking at the employee performance. In so many cases, employee performance could be due to many factors. A disgruntled employee could, could affect the production or the integrity of the organization. So it's important to evaluate every employee and look at performance, have a metrics, gather those evidence, and look at what could be responsible for a particular habit or behavior. It's important to gather evidence for behavioral analysis, where you analyze the behavior of any employee. A very happy employee would project or protrude the company in a positive way. But when the employee is not is a nonchalant, let me put it that way, a nonchalant employee would have problem with communication with other different arms of the distribution hand that we have in the person or with different clients. So one of the things, some of the things to watch out for is if the employee in the performance, if the employee adhere strictly to the code of conduct, we look at the professionalism, accountability, we look at the quality of output from the employee, the number of errors they have made, the employee has particularly made. So if we find out the number of errors are gradually increasing, well, that's enough evidence that you could gather. It calls for maybe additional training or maybe in some cases apply some disciplinary action, on the employee. So it's important to analyze the behavior, the employee performance, gather the information about that, and use it as an evidence to take further action on the employee. Another technique is interviewing appropriate personnel. So how does it work? When we try to get ahead, it's important to gather to interview the appropriate person. It could be by virtue of high witness, or interview them or investigate them or interrogate the personnel. Maybe from high witness of one or two or three people, we can establish the truth of the matter. So interviewing the appropriate personnel would actually lead to very good evidence, and that could, give an insight for actions that we're going to take based on that. Because the personnel that is being interviewed will be responsible for every word, or be responsible, we take accountability for every report that it gives. So another technique is to review information system documentation. Documentation is very critical in every IS operation. Everything that happens, every activities, from logging in, system configuration, backup procedures, change management, the standard operation procedures, which is the SOPs. Those are system documentation that we use to gather as an evidence in case like an attack happens. So how do we know? What are the things? What are the information to go through? Another one is reviewing the documentation to ensure that even the configuration of the system or the organization aligns with the international standard, the ISO regulation and requirements. It's important to review system documentation. Also, when a client is involved, there's a level of service level agreement which comes in form of a document. It's important to review those documents and gather them as evidence in case there's any issue between the accusant and other clients. Since there's SLA, service level agreement, and signed, it's important to review those documents and so that we can avert this situation. Documents such as license. McKesson is a very big organization. As a result, we have a lot of systems and that requires licensing. So if there are any issue with the licensing, the best place to look for evidence is to review the license documents that we have with all the clients, and that will give like a profound information on all the licenses that were acquired, all the licenses that are activated, inactive users, and also the cost of it. So this documentation, system documentation, is essential, is important evidence to use in this scenario. Some other documents could require maybe resource commitment from like within across all the clients and locations, or training, or documents that has software acquisition and even service request. Those are private evidence gathering techniques for system documentation. Another, okay, now I put in here that there are various ways that we can review the information system documentation. One of the steps is to anticipate the future needs of information. It's just similar to someone buying a house, uh, 2 years or 3 years or 4 years down the line. You anticipate what you actually need. You are collecting information. You are analyzing financially. You analyze in terms of the resources you will need to uh, to upgrade the house. So I just liken it to that. So that's the first. The second step is to concentrate on the usability of the replacement and upgradation. In case we want to upgrade the system, we have to review the system documentation for that. Also, budgeting to train after go live. So how we have implemented a whole system on infrastructure. So how do we train the users? We have to review the documentation. Do we have the number of users that got to be part of the training? We look at the resources, system configuration, and make sure everything aligns. So these are very good. Reviewing the information system documentation provides a very good evidence. Another technique is to review the system standard. As McKinsey, which is part of the healthcare industry, there are a lot of standards, like the HIPAA, like the CMS have some of the standards, HL7 standards. It is also important to review all these system standards to ensure that our infrastructure, our system aligns with all the industry standards. And this is needed to maintain the certifications that we have, and also to increase competitiveness with the competitors, and also to ensure that information that we send from McKinsey to other clients really meets the international standard in terms of the security, and they are well protected. For example, protection of the PHI information system. So I had here some of the standards that applies to healthcare. We have the CCDA, which is the Consolidated Clinical Document Architect website. They have some disclaimer on the website. This help to in creating the clinician documentation in form of the XML. We have the direct website disclaimer tool. We have the IHE, which is the healthcare enterprise site. Then we have the quality reporting document architecture. We have the health quality measure format. They have a lot of quality measures they're surrounded or created by the HL7, that has the health level 7 international. They create a standard for all this information that promotes integration between different facilities or different healthcare facilities. Also, we have the ISO standard, which is the normal international standards organization, which standardize requirements, specification, guidelines, and some other characteristics. And as per case, we really benefited a lot from the ISO standard. Another important technique is the system, information systems, policies, and procedures. The policies, I'll put it as a set of guidelines that governs the way we work or we operate. While the procedures, those are documentation that shows steps on how to achieve a particular task and who is responsible for that. The procedure shows that. So it's important to review policies. Policies in form of how do we want to, for example, password policy. That's a very good policy to review. The password policy will ensure that every employee of McKinsey ad- adhere to the set standard, like changing password, the number of days the password takes to change, the retention date, the complexity of the password, who have access to systems. Those are the policies. The policies are meant to guard and protect both the internal staff and the external con. Okay, shortly before that, procedure, like I said, we have to evaluate the procedure of information systems. Now, the procedure gives a form of, is a form of steps on how to how to really perform some particular task. I'll put it that way. And also who is responsible for that. So when we get an evidence, it's important to review all the procedures. By so doing, we will be able to identify where there is problem and who is responsible for that. For example, if some particular transaction needs approval authorization, the procedure will list who authorizes it. It could be maybe the CFO that needs to authorize that particular transaction, but with the procedure would highlight it there that the CFO needs to approve certain things. So when we get an evidence, we would know the responsibility, the role, and how it flows, how the information flows from top to bottom. Like I said, we have a lot of policies at the same time. So we have, in so far, we've discussed about the three P's, I call it the process, policies, and procedures. They all go in hand, they all go together. So when we get in evidence, it's important to look at the processes, to look at the procedure, and at the same time, to look at the policy that governs how the processes and the procedures should work. So another technique is to look at the organization structure. Organization structure, some structure are metrics based, while some are hierarchical based, some are even mixed. So evaluating the structure can actually give a form of evidence such that you could know who reports to who. The structure of the organization is an evidence. But someone that is not a staff or an employee that is not performing uh, to the fullest, it's important to get evidence and know who the employee reports to. So when we find out about that, we can even contact the manager or the supervisor, and based on the evidence that is gathered from understanding the organization structure, then we can be able to address the situation and arrest any further nonchalant attitude of that. So it's very important to need to understand the organizational structure for evidence gathering. Um, in conclusion, the most important thing for every organization, every information, detail, asset, movements, behavior, they are very, very critical in solving in solving problems. And as a result, all these techniques where you could use combined together to as an evidence, and they are legally binding. Uh, and as a result, all those information can be used as a legal evidence, even in court or in addressing issue. So They are important and they and have to be taken seriously. Do you have any question? In the absence of any question, I think I would end this lecture here. Thank you very much.